are on our YouTube channel. And so you can always go back and check out old content there. But thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Megan Tracy and I'm the director of the Professional Development Center here at St. Ambrose University. And really our mission is to provide educational content to the community. And so to achieve that mission, we'll be talking about strategic planning today. One of the things that we did was launch these Lunch and Learn series a couple of years ago. And we also wanted to highlight today just a couple of other things that we do to provide training. So you may know about some of our other programs. We do a lot in leadership development, project management, and a variety of other areas. But I'd encourage you to reach out to myself or Tommy Tigret, who's also on this call, if you ever have questions about getting some more in-depth training. These are wonderful ways to grow your skills and really build your resume, especially if you're thinking about strategic planning for yourself and your career. Little bit more on that as well. We also do offer a variety of graduate programs here at St. Ambrose University. So whether you're looking to grow along the business track, we've got a great Master's of Business Administration. We have a Master's of Organizational Leadership program. We also have a Master's of Accountancy program and a doctoral studies for business administration. So quite a few different programs, and also obviously in our health sciences and arts and sciences area, there are a few too. So just wanted to mention that briefly. I'm sure some of you are already aware of those programs, but some of you may not be. And as we continue going through transition and change in our workforce, sometimes that does require us to build new skills. And so we'd love to be your partner in doing so. So without further ado, we do typically do a little networking, and you will have time to do that a little bit later on in Marcia's program, but we've kind of mixed it up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and launch right into the program and do that networking piece throughout. So I have the pleasure today of introducing Marcia Erickson. After 2 decades as a leader in healthcare, Marcia has found her passion nurturing business leaders to be more successful while holding them accountable to achieve their goals and dreams for their businesses and organizations. Marcia is passionate about helping leaders to enjoy their work every day by adding value to everything they do, learning new skills and strategies, and paying it forward through servant leadership. Marcia is a certified business and executive coach who has most recently partnered with Action Coach Business Coaching, the world's largest global business coaching firm. Marcia holds a master's degree in healthcare administration from the University of Iowa and has held various positions in strategic planning and business development. She created and led a research and grant funding department, overseen healthcare operations team, and has mastered the craft of medical staff management. Marcia is a certified green belt in DMAIC process improvement and has served as a Baldrige examiner within both the Iowa and Illinois IMEC Performance Excellent programs. Marcia has served as a team lead for a talented group of examiners in the 2019 application cycle and wrote the MedGen Products Inc. award application in the 2020 cycle. Marcia offers one-on-one coaching, group coaching, business education courses, strategic and quarterly planning workshops, and customizable speaking engagements on leadership and management topics like you're in today. Marcia, I also know you are a passionate advocate for our local Quad Cities community and represent our businesses wherever you go, and very much appreciate that about you. So thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and hand it over to you.
Thanks, Megan. You guys didn't know that you were going to spend 10 minutes of this presentation hearing about silliness about me. I appreciate that. I will cut down my introduction, but I love the relationship that Megan and I have and the partnership that I have with St. Ambrose. She has attended some of my planning workshops. There's other folks on the phone that have taken part as well, and I love that. A lot of the fun of planning is just getting people in a room to really get creative and brainstorm and then walk away with an action plan. What I want to talk about today, knowing that there were a variety of different folks on the call, and knowing that you're in different places in your organizations, both in your careers and your professional development, I want to talk about strategic planning and let you kind of do a high level of what is strategic planning, why is it important, why do we want to do it, why should my organization be doing it? And then I want to actually drill it down into what role do you play in your organization's strategic plan. And we're going to take it down a step further and say, what can you do personally? How can you develop your own personal development plan, your own strategic plan, set some goals for yourself, even outside of work, and fulfill those. So that's a lot to pack into the next few minutes. So I'm going to do my best. I also want to, as Megan said, about just before the end, I'm going to give you some content. We're going to review the material, but then I'm going to give you an opportunity. Megan's going to throw you in some breakout rooms towards the end, and you're actually going to practice. So be thinking about, as we're going through here, not just your organization, but think about your own goals that you have, because you're actually going to play around with a tool. I want you to walk away with some really good things that you can apply, when you leave here today. Okay. So Megan's already told you about me. Really, the only thing that's probably critical or that may be important that didn't come up is I actually started my career in healthcare in strategic planning and business development. So that's where I developed a love of this. When I chose to go out on my own, I wanted to take those things that I had the opportunity to learn within a big corporate environment and take those out into the private industry to organizations and leaders who maybe don't have access to that and aren't close to them on a day-to-day basis. So I get to work with big organizations and business owners and executives one-on-one. So we'll skip through that. Why is strategic planning important? Hopefully many of you, I assume, have seen Alice in Wonderland. And if you remember the scene where Alice is talking to the Cheshire Cat, she has two paths to go, right? She gets in the woods and she can go right or left. And the Cheshire Cat says, what can I help you with? She said, which way do I go? And he said, well, where are you headed? And she said, well, it doesn't much matter. And he said, well, then it doesn't much matter which path you take. And I imagine a lot of us feel that way from time to time, right? Do you remember that day when you walked into a new position? So you've got all your things, your head's clear, you're excited about where you're going. You walk out the door the first day, you get to your desk, it's this empty desk, and you've gone through the interview process, you've asked all the questions, you have an idea of what's expected of you, but then you get there and go, now what do I do next, right? If your organization doesn't have a plan about where they're going, they probably don't have a plan about where you're going. And then we go through this trial and error, right? We feel a little bit lost. And how great would it be if your direct supervisor sat down with you on the first day and said, here's our organization's mission, vision, values. Here's our plan. And here's how you fit into it and can really help us go to the next level. Here's what we expect of you. And then you can take that to your team and say, hey, this is where we're headed. This is what I need from you. Wouldn't that make that first day so much more exciting and rewarding? And then when you get to the end of the month, the year, the next 3 years, you can say, oh yeah, we accomplished all those things and our organization's now in a much better place than we were before. The counter to that, right, is that we spend a lot of time coming up with great ideas, bright, shiny things. We try them, and then maybe we're spending some time, money, resources, and we don't necessarily get to the place we want to go. So that's some of the reasons that planning is important. It gets if you're in a large organization, it gets your board, it gets your leadership team, it gets your team aligned. And oh, by the way, it also gets your customers aligned, right? If you have a really strong mission, vision, values, and a plan, that's things people can get behind. And right now we're all dealing with recruitment issues, right? We have spots we need to fill. We don't have people to fill them. What a great way to not only market your organization, but market to people who are looking at making a change, right? We're in this great resignation period where people are really looking to add purpose and value to an organization. A strategic plan with a really strong mission, vision, and values helps you to fill those roles. Helps you anticipate changes in the market. It makes an organization more nimble. If you've got a plan and you're headed somewhere based on data, that data changes, it's much easier to pivot and turn the Titanic if you actually had a plan in place, unless you're, as opposed to being kind of out in the water and guessing about where you want to go. It inspires innovation for those same reasons, creates synergy, efficiency, so you're not always experimenting with things. helps you to be really intentional about identifying the opportunities in your organizations, the threats. This is based on, kind of a SWOT analysis. What are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And helps you capitalize on those. Helps you understand your customers better. So that should be a piece of your strategic planning process before you start. Helps you resolve problems, alleviate threats, and take appropriate action. Maybe we do have a weakness that we're not really good at. Maybe there's a program that someone else in our community does better. And maybe we need to be comfortable letting that go so that we can focus our time, energy, and resources on what we're really, really good at. So there's all kinds of theories about strategic planning. There's lots of ways to brainstorm, lots of models, but really it comes down to this. The simplest way to describe strategic planning is, where are we right now as an organization? Where is it that we want to go? What's that gap look like in the middle? And how can we fill the gap? What are the strategies that we need to do that are going to get us from A to B? So if there's one takeaway, it's really not, it can get super complex and complicated, but at the end of the day, it's really not. Where are we at? Where are we going? And how are we going to get there? I'm going to give you some tools to do that today, but that's kind of the framework. To figure out where you're at, right? Typically, if I'm working in an organization, we're going to do an environmental analysis. Where are we at? What's our current state? So if you don't know where to begin with that, some simple questions. What do we do, right? Because we may do a lot of different things. We may do things in our organization that we don't even remember that we do. Someone may be offering, there may be a service line that, oh yeah, we forgot we even provided that service. So what do we do? Who do we do it for? So what does our market look like? What do they need? Are they satisfied with what we're doing? Is there something that they need that we're not providing? And then where do we excel? And then how do we capitalize on that and take it to the market? So just three easy questions if you are sitting down to assess where are we at and what's our current state. So then we're going to break that down into where are we going to go, right? What are our goals? So this writing is really small, but I just want to show you how you start from big down to little. So what's the goal that we're trying to achieve? The objectives are, how are we going to get there? And the target is, how are we going to measure whether we got there or not? And we're going to break those down a little bit more. This model is really to explain that strategic planning and planning in general is cyclical. It should be ongoing, right? It's not, we do the plan, we plan 3 years, 5 years, 10 years out, we put it on the shelf and we walk away. How many of us have walked into organizations where, yep, we have a strategic plan and I couldn't tell you what's in it? To be really powerful, the plan should be an iterative process. We do an environmental assessment, we do the plan, we cascade the plan down to some action plans, down to the person, and then we go back and look at it again. And we just keep walking through that process. So what's the target? What do we need to do to get there? What's our action plan? How do we communicate it, implement it, monitor it, and then we do it all again. So that's how you keep a plan alive in an organization. So let's get into some nitty gritty around what is a goal, what's a strategy, what's a task, right? A lot of times we get fumbled up over that. Different organizations call them different things. It doesn't matter. Whatever the language is in your organization, that's what matters. However, they define it. If I go into an organization that has never done this before, these are some definitions you can use. If they have purpose instead of values, great. As long as everyone understands what it is, perfectly fine. The thing to keep in mind is we're going to go from big to little, right? We're going to get more specific. So here's a definition of a goal. It's the result, right? It's the outcome. It's what we want to achieve. So it's usually really broad. For example, to achieve a certain amount of net profit in a given year, to reduce work hours. If you're a burnout executive and you or a business owner and that's your goal is to be more happy and satisfied, maybe it's to reduce a certain number of hours. Maybe you're growing your team. Maybe it's a personal goal. So I'm going to lose 20 pounds by a certain date. I'm going to tell you how to make that goal a little bit more effective. So then we're going to break that down. One way, so here's some Zig Ziglar tips on how to achieve a goal. First, we've got to know what it is. We've got to identify it. We've got to identify why, the benefits of doing it. That's going to motivate us, get us excited, identify what might get in our way. What are some roadblocks that maybe we need to get out of the way? What are the things we need to learn and know to do that? Who do we need to work with? What's the action plan? And when do we want to have this accomplished by? There's 3 types of goals to keep in mind as well. There's goals that we're moving away from something. They're called negative goals. I don't want X. I don't want to work 80 hours a week anymore. I don't want to feel negative when I go to work. I don't want to make that mistake again. Or more importantly, where do I want to go? What's a positive goal? What am I moving towards? I don't want that, but I really want this. So I don't want to be working 80 hours a week. I want to be working 35, go home on a Friday afternoon and spend the weekend with my family. I want to take 2 trips a year, right? So those are all positive goals, revenue goals, net income goals, all things that we're working towards. Or maybe it's a big impact goal. I'm looking at Rena here. Rena's got big goals for her nonprofit, right? That's when we take it beyond us, outside of ourselves, into a bigger purpose. That's what people can really, really get behind. Does that make sense? And why would we set goals even for ourselves? Builds our confidence. It sets your focus and in your intention. It helps clear the noise so that we can focus on certain things, helps us prioritize, take responsibility, and it's super motivating and inspiring. Those days when you kind of feel like, oh, I'm just putting out fires and you're not sure what you're doing, it clears away that fog and says, oh yeah, that's the why, that's my purpose, that's where I'm headed, helps us get over some of those hurdles that may set us back. Important things to keep in mind when goal setting, let's make them SMART. So we talked about some goals early on. A lot of us have heard the acronym SMART. Be really specific. They have to be measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Why? If they're not, we run the risk of even that goal that said, I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the year, even that can get a little foggy, right? But if I want to lose weight by the end of the year by hiring the trainer and working out twice a week and working in a little bit of cardio and tracking what I eat, that's a much more manageable goal and objective to get us where we want to go. So here's some things to think about. Here's another acronym when you're thinking about setting goals for yourself. Actions, results, and time. So a lot of us may have these kind of wishy-washy goals like, I want to be promoted, I want a new job, I want to advance my career. Well, let's break that down to get more specific. What if instead of I want to be promoted, what if in 3 years, I want to be an effective motivator, leading a team of 25 sales reps so that I can be a regional manager? See how you can take each one of those things and put some strategies behind them. So now we know what the result is. There's things we have to do. And then I'm going to show you another mind map. There's also we probably have to be a little bit of a different person in order to achieve this goal. So what's a strategy? Strategy is how are we going to get there? What are we going to do? What are the actions that we're going to take to get identified? Oh, we're sorry, I'm a little bit unstable. If I'm going to wait for that. Okay, can you guys hear me good? Sorry about that. Maybe we've identified we've got a ton of inventory sitting on the shelves, right? We've got a ton of money set up in there. Maybe our director of supply chain is like, there's some opportunity here. Well, then we strategize as a team. We say, maybe we need a system to track that, right? Heather's given us a thumbs up. I bet Heather's experienced this before. If another goal to achieve net profit, maybe we need to look at our pricing. As we do this environmental assessment, we look at the market, maybe there's some opportunity there to increase our bottom line simply by increasing prices. So then let's break that down into some tasks. Make sense? So the task is the doing. What are the things that I have to do in order to accomplish that strategy? So if the strategy is create an inventory system, let's break that down. There's probably some things we have to learn. So let's develop a list of everything we have, determine what needs to be tracked, determine what is our stock turnover. So our stock, how long are things sitting on our shelves? let's allocate some costs, and maybe we run it by a coach, by a leadership team, some other people to get a second look at it. Then we write it up and we put some things in place. That's how the tasks are going to get us to the strategy and the goal. Make sense? Thumbs up. Okay, lots of formats that you can put a plan into, right? Ultimately, you want to come up with an action plan so that everyone knows what they're doing and you can track the results. So here's a simple example. What needs to be done? So what's the target? What's our goal? When, right? When you think about SMART, what's the time frame that we're going to do it on? Who get it, accomplish it in? Who's going to do it? So we've got accountability built in. How are we going to do it? That's our strategies and our tasks. And then who again? I love the one-page strategic plan to start, where we're keeping mission, vision, values in front of people. Then we're cascading it down throughout the organization. But ultimately, everyone in your organization should have a plan about what they need to accomplish. Even if it's the person answering the phone, the person cleaning, the person head of your sales, everyone should know and be able to count something that they're doing on a daily basis to move the organization towards the goal. So here's an example of how we cascade a strategic plan down to each one of us. So we start, organization's got a vision, right? We want to be X. It could take us 5 years, it could take us 10 years, but here's where we're headed. This is what it's going to look like, feel like when we're there. So then we're going to put this plan in place and we're going to do a strategic plan. We're going to have some strategies in place, and we're going to measure it. So some areas that you may want to be measuring, if you don't have a scorecard in place, it could be finance, it could be customers, customer volume, some of your processes. Do we have efficient processes? Do we don't? Going back to the inventory, what is our turnover rate if that's our focus for the quarter? And then there's probably some learning and development that we need to do. If you think about that at a leadership level or a department level, then take it down to you, as I'm assuming a lot of us on the phone are leaders, right, of those departments. So if our organization has a finance goal, what does that mean to me? If we have a big goal, how can my department, my service line, my program impact that bigger goal? And that's where potentially your piece of strategic planning comes in. How do I impact customers? So if we have a customer service goal at a high level, what is my departmental goal or my personal goal to ensure that we get there? Can you see how that's a great way to visualize cascading goals throughout the organization? If you have a high level customer service goal or a client goal, each service or program, department, and then down to the singular person, right? We all in an organization, I come from healthcare, so I'm preaching a little bit, but we all have a role in patient satisfaction, right? Or customer service. It's something the entire organization can get behind. And then we want to take that down to, okay, this is what I'm contributing to the organization. What's my own personal development plan? Who do I need to be differently, do differently? What results do I have in order to get there? And so that's where I want to take this. This is a mind map that I love. So this is how you take it down to the personal level, right? Your formula for success. So regardless of whether this is a career goal, a personal goal, family goal, this is the formula for success. And I love to apply this to planning. So who do I need to be in order, and what do I need to do, or who do I need to be in order to do what I need to do in order to have the result I want to have? Okay, so let's break that down. Have, you can see, is our goal, right? It's the result, it's where we're headed. The doing, you could also say, our strategies. They're the steps. We all know we have to do certain things in order to get to that result. A lot of times what we forget, and I would say I have done this over time in my career, we forget the who do we have to be. If we aren't a different person, if our organization's not different, we can do these things all day long, you may not get to the result. The reason I say that is if you were the person, or your organization was the organization they needed to be to get to the result, you would already have the result, right? So how does that look at an organizational or personal level? Let's take it as an organizational level. Maybe we have a revenue goal, high level goal for the organization. How are we going to get there? The do is our strategies. Maybe we need to do some sales training. Maybe we need to improve our quality metrics, put a safety program in place, leadership development, lots of strategies we can do to get to the result. But who do we as an organization need to be in order to accomplish those things? A lot of times we know the do, we might not know the be. So maybe we need to go back and revisit, what is our mission? What's our purpose? What's our why for doing what we're doing? What's the vision? Where are we headed? If we don't have that, it makes all those other things far more difficult. Maybe we haven't defined our values or our culture, right? So we can do all kinds of doing, but people might not be on board with that if we haven't done the work to really dig deep and decide what are our values and our culture. So then how do we use that same model in our own life, in our personal life? Maybe it is to be promoted. Maybe it's, the other example I love is, I want to, it always comes back to health and wellness for us, right? Maybe I want to run a half marathon. So if I want to get promoted, maybe some of the things I need to do are take on a new project, get a mentor, get a coach, get a peer, a supervisor or someone else in a different department that can help me understand some things that maybe I don't know. Maybe I need to partner up with a colleague in a different department, or work with some folks that I don't see eye to eye on, and maybe look at their perspective. Maybe there's some additional training I need to do, and maybe there's some leadership development. Those are all the things, the tasky things, right? A lot of us like to just check those off the box because we feel like we're going to get there. More importantly, maybe I need to be someone different. So maybe in order to do those things, I need to be a little bit more confident. So how can I break that down into some little tasks, get some wins, and feel better about what I do? For me, to be confident, I have to learn. I have to go back. I have to understand how things work. I have to get some education. Then I'm a little bit more confident to get more assertive. Again, maybe I need to put myself out there, take on a new challenge in order to grow, right? Get uncomfortable, embrace the suck, as Rachel likes to say. Maybe I need to look at my purpose a little bit further, a little bit deeper, and decide why I want to do these things. And maybe I just need to present myself differently. Maybe I need to get confident. How do you introduce yourself? Do you use words like I just X? Or do you let people in and tell them a little bit about what you're really good at, what you're passionate about, and what you're maybe not so good at? Okay, so that's a whole lot of information in half an hour. So what I want you to do is Megan's going to put you all into breakout rooms. And I want you to apply, I hope you love this model as much as I do. I want you to apply this model either to a work situation or a personal situation and walk through the exercise of be, do, have. What's a result or a goal I want to have? What are some of the steps I need to do? And maybe you need to brainstorm this with the folks in your room and maybe get a little vulnerable and talk about who do I need to be a little bit different in order to get to that goal. Most importantly, the funnest part of today is the networking piece, right? So as you're learning about someone else's goal, how can you help them? How can we help each other get to the goal that we need to? Who can you connect them with? What's a resource maybe they don't have that you can help them with? Maybe you find a mentor on the call or a really, really good connection. Okay, so I'm going to turn over to Megan. We're going to come back. We're going to break that down. Hopefully we'll have a couple volunteers that are willing to share, and then we'll get wrapped up.
Awesome.
Over to you, Megan.
Thank you. I am going to go ahead and open the rooms. All you need to do is click join. And if you're unable for any reason to join a room, just hang out here until we all come back together.
Surprise. We had quite a few people who didn't join a room, so we're moving some folks around. We're going to take about 10 more minutes. If anybody has questions or wants to contribute, come off mute and share, you're welcome to do that. Hi, team. We have about 4 more minutes. If anybody wants to come off mute or come off video and talk about our topic, happy to answer any questions or offer any insights.
Suzanne, that was sage advice at the end of our time together. It was perfect.
Suzanne, share. Suzanne, what was your sage advice?
I was just, one of our participants was talking about her family and her 4 children. And I think it's, now my kids are all gone, but I think it would have been a wonderful thing and something that my husband and I can do to make a mission, vision, value statement as a family to get the buy-in of all the members of the family. This is why we do what we do. You know, this is our ultimate goal. And then measure that through the year, whether it's just as a couple or as I just think that's a wonderful thing if you have kids old enough.
I
to-
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. We have not done that at our house either, but I think there's a lot of value in that. Raising 2 teenage boys. Be good to get them reeled in and on the same page. All right. So hopefully you guys got value in that and we're able to learn with each other, connect, and maybe help each other out in working towards your goal. So to keep it simple, we've talked about a lot of things, a lot of concepts. Really, to keep it simple, set the goal, make a plan, get after it, stick to it, even when things get a little tough, or maybe it doesn't, maybe you get off track, maybe it doesn't go the way you wanted. Stick to it, work the plan, and you'll find that you're reaching the goal. If you want to connect with me, happy to sit down with you. If you think there's some value for your organization, for yourself, for your business, feel free to reach out to me. If you have more questions, let me know. Megan's going to send out a survey afterwards with feedback, and I'm going to send a tool with that you can use. Again, just a Be Do Have exercise that you can use yourself, with your team, with your family, or with your organization. And as Megan said, this is recorded and you'll have access to the information. I want to leave you with this thought before we go. You know, the last 2 years have been, we've never seen anything. I don't want to use unprecedented. I don't want to use all the trite language, but the world is just a crazy place right now. So I want to leave you with this thought that we're all faced with a great series of opportunities if we choose to look at them that way. Unfortunately, they're often brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. So take those impossible situations, take the hurdles that you need to accomplish, the pivots you need to make, the changes, and look at them as opportunities, and set it. Maybe you have to set a new goal, get after it, and reap the benefits. I appreciate your time today. This was great. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Megan. Megan, do you have any closing thoughts before we go?
Nope. And we did have one request, Marcia, if you could also include your slides, if you wouldn't mind, that I could send out. I think, I know I was taking pictures along the way, just such great foundation for planning. So
Yeah.
Happy to do that.
Hey, Megan, I have a quick question. Marcia, do you have a schedule coming up this year when you're going to be doing some workshops?
I do. Thanks, Rena. Actually, Thursday, I have a workshop Thursday. I do once a month, the third Thursday of the month. I get a group of leaders together and we meet at Iron and Grain, the new Hilltop campus in Davenport, 8:30 to 10. And then I do quarterly planning sessions. So even if you're not in an organization and you want to do some planning on your own, each quarter, the first Thursday of the quarter. So our next one's March 3rd. We're going to meet at J Bar over in Davenport. It's an all-day event, and we actually map out your plan for the quarter. We talk about some mindset, and we put some plans together. We brainstorm, and it's a great networking opportunity. So follow me on social media and get more information about those. So thank you for that, Rena. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I need you. I need to sign up.
Okay, March 3rd.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. And feel free to reach out.
thanks, Marcia. Thanks everybody for coming.
Have a great week.